They had told him it was madness. No one saved the enemy. No one carried their bloodied forms from the battlefield when every breath could be their last. His comrades spat the word traitor under their tongues when they thought he couldn't hear it. And yet, when the moment came, when he found her half buried in rubble, coughing on dust, eyes glazed with pain, he hadn't hesitated. He pulled her free. He lifted her. He bore her across the scarred earth as if she were one of his own. The war between their peoples had lasted so long that children grew old under its shadow. She had been his enemy since before he learned to fight. Her kind painted as monsters in every lesson, her face on posters that warned of raids and slaughter. And yet, in that instant, when her blood soaked into his armor and her hand weakly grasped his wrist as if pleading without words, she was not a monster. She was a life, fragile and fleeting, and he was human. Humanity meant more than rage. Humanity meant refusing to let someone die when you could carry them instead. But the cost was clear. Every step through the ruins carried whispers of betrayal. His squad had abandoned him once they realized what he carried. Their eyes had burned hotter than the fires of the battlefield. To them, he was a fool, wasting his strength, risking his survival for nothing but an enemy's breath. He should have left her, they said. He should have let the earth swallow her like it had swallowed countless others. Yet he pressed forward, her weight heavy but alive in his arms, his heart thundering against hers. The wasteland around them did not forgive hesitation. Collapsed towers jutted like jagged teeth. Shadows hid old machines, still hungry for movement. And the ground itself was broken with fissures that steamed from ancient scars. She stirred in his arms, her eyelids fluttering open, and her gaze locked on his. Silver, sharp, filled with confusion and something dangerously close to recognition. Her lips parted, but no accusation came, no curse, no threat, only a hoarse whisper. Why? He didn't answer. Not then. The answer was carved into the way his grip refused to let her slip, into the way he kept walking, into the defiance of his every step against the silence of a world that expected him to abandon her. The journey tested him beyond battle. Her fever burned hotter with each day, forcing him to stop and cool her with the last of his water, though it left his throat raw with thirst. Her injuries worsened whenever he faltered, and more than once he thought she would slip away in his arms. Yet still he carried her, through storms that ripped the sky with fire, through nights filled with the metallic echoes of wardens searching for prey. He carried her because letting go would mean surrendering not only her, but himself. The voices of his comrades haunted him, fool, weak, traitor. But their words meant less than the faint sound of her breathing against his chest. Each time she stirred, each time her hand weakly clutched at him in unconscious instinct, he felt the fire of his choice burn brighter. Humanity had always been measured not by victory in war, but by the refusal to abandon hope in the ashes of it. He would not let her die, not because she was ally, not because she was innocent, but because she was alive. When at last he reached the border outpost, his body nearly broken, the guards met him with raised rifles. They saw the alien in his arms and spat curses, demanded explanations, even threatened to gun them both down. He could barely stand, his legs trembling, but his voice was steady when he told them, "If I can carry her through hell, then she'll has earned the right to live." His comrades scoffed, called him fool once more, shouted that no one saved the enemy. But she stirred in his arms again, eyes opening, her hand clutching weakly at his chest plate, as if anchoring herself to the very man who had denied her death. Her voice cracked, barely more than air, but the words cut through the jeers like a blade. "No, hero. The silence that followed was heavier than any battle. For the first time, the accusation of fool was drowned out by a truth even his enemies could not deny. Humanity's strength was not just in steel or fire, it was in the refusal to abandon, even when the world called it weakness. They called him a fool, but she called him hero. And in the end, that was the only name that mattered.